Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Monday! We're back to Monday, and just realized my shirt was crooked. Whoops. It's the furk. Yeah, it's a Monday shirt. So, anyways, we're back with Monday, and pardon my hair. Reaching back to the 90s for a hairdo. I was telling older sibling yesterday, it's like, I can't wait until my bangs grow back to a length where I can respect them again. So, until then, that. But, or pulled back. I know, and it's like I thought my bangs were long enough at this point, but no, still not. But I did straighten my hair today, so not that you need to know all that. Anyways, again, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything, or a whole lot of something else. Who knows? But happy Monday. Okay, I have an affirmators card. Yay! And I wasn't too happy with that one. So you know what? I'm going to pull another one. Okay, I'm going to pull another one. Just be random, right? We'll just go there, right there in the middle. I'm not going to look at that one, and we'll see what it says at the end. But today, I have something from your toolbox, your soul's toolbox. So I think that was, you know what, I think it was Instagram. Oh, I'm so terrible. I didn't even put it down where I got it from, but I think it was Instagram, and that's the, what you call it, your soul's toolbox. I think that's just the handle. So again, here's the card. Haven't looked at it. And anyways, this is about purpose. This is about purpose. So, and I have a really good quote at the end of this. And the quote, I just wrote it down, okay? And I hadn't planned on it being part of the show, but it actually works out really well with what I'm going to talk about today. So let's get rolling, okay? Your purpose is not just the thing you do. It's the thing that happens when you do what you do. It's how you make people feel and remember you by doing what you do. It's starting to sound a little like Dr. Seuss, isn't it? It's the experience that your energy leaves upon them. By mastering your unique gifts, you step into the realm of infinite possibilities. The greatest blessing you can give to humanity is owning your purpose and inspiring others to courageously own theirs. So, let's try reading that again without my commentary. So again, from your soul's toolbox, your purpose is not just the thing you do. It's the thing that happens when you do what you do. It's how you make people feel and remember you by doing what you do. It's the experience that your energy leaves upon them. By mastering your unique gifts, you step into the realm of infinite possibilities. The greatest blessing you can give to humanity is owning your purpose and inspiring others to courageously own theirs. So again, we talk about, I've talked about this before, right? Where it really was starting to sound a little like Dr. Seuss, but who doesn't love Dr. Seuss? So anyways, I mean, you know, to each their own if you don't, but just give it a whirl. Dr. Seuss is awesome. But anyways, we've talked about this before, and so I want to share the quote that I saw, that I really, really love it, because I really, really feel like this kind of hits home on how people will say, well, yeah, but what if I don't want to, you know, it says, now at the end it says to courageously own their story. It's not saying courageously share their story. If you choose to share, that's great. If you don't, that's okay too. Because, you know, not everybody wants to do that, but it's not about having the courage or the bravery to share your story with other people. It's about having the courage and bravery to own your story, to, you know, to heal it. Because once you take your power back and you become the king or queen of your own life, you are going to find that, you know, you are able to heal that part of you. You are able to heal that trauma. You are able to heal that story. And there was a time when I would say, well, you know, you may not be able to, but no, I'm going to tell people, because when I was saying those things, I was coming from a place where I wasn't sure I'd ever be able to heal my story. And yeah, there's still a lot of kinks that I'm working out. There's still a lot of, you know, ledges that might be a little shaky for me to stand on at the moment, but I'm getting there, and I'm pouring that solid foundation. I'm pouring that thing where I can build my house of self-love, where, you know, so it's not just like a a very fragile deck, full house, right? Where you build the house out of cards. House of cards. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Because those are fragile. I mean, a wind comes along, poof. It's kind of like the Three Little Pigs, right? So think of the Three Little Pigs as like your emotions and your healing, right? The one who has his house built out of straw, with straw, sticks, and bricks, right? So let's see if I get this right. So you have the pig that built his house out of straw. You have the pig that built his house out of sticks. And you have the pig that built his house out of bricks, right? And then you have the big bad wolf. Now, the big bad wolf could be the fear. I mean, obviously, right? You're a little pig. You don't want something with big teeth chasing you, But, again, think of the big bad wolf as being that trauma fear, right? So the pig with the straw, could be the section of your life that's traumatized. The pig with the sticks, you're starting to heal, and you're starting to understand, what it is that you need to do to get better, and to heal the trauma and everything. So now your little pig with the straw house, that could be your inner floof, your inner child that needs healing. It could be your shadow self. And now you're in the house with the pig with sticks, right? And he's just kind of like, yeah, it's still a little shaky, but I'm getting there. And then you heal that. And so those two pigs kind of merge, and your floof is growing. And then you find yourself in the place with the brick house. And you're safe inside the brick house, but you don't want to stay in the brick house forever, right? So you have to figure out how to venture out and get rid of the big bad wolf. So I mean, if you want to say it, the big bad wolf is just trying to eat, but still, don't chase the little pigs. They're so cute. However, I know you're like, please stay on topic. However, this could be the voices that we have. I know that was the most random sample, right, for a metaphor. Let's lose the three little pigs. But it also makes a lot of sense, because you have a house made out of straw, which is basically, like we said, one big windstorm. Even here in California, where we get, a tiny earthquake would knock that straw house down. All right. So you're kind of like, oh, well, damn. And we have fires out here, so that's not going to work out well either for the straw or the bricks. But that's just it. It's a very fragile foundation, or a very fragile structure, I should say. And that's what happens when there's trauma. That's what happens when there's, things. And it could be anything. I'm not just going to say it's these very crazy traumas that a lot of people go through, including myself, but trauma could be a lot of things. You could have PTSD from car accident. You could have, PTSD from, maybe you grew up in a household where everybody was always fighting, and it's just, that would be kind of I personally think that would fall under CPTSD, because even if it isn't directed at you, it's still trauma, because, you're starting to think, is this normal? Because when I go over here to so-and-so's house, it's not like that. So when we move through and we think, okay, the pig with the straw house, I get it. He's got the shaky foundation, but, he finds enough courage to run to the next house, to the brother and or sister, to their family member with the house with sticks. And they're like, yeah, we're still not very safe in here, but they're figuring it out. And it's like, okay, well, what do we have to do to be in a safer place? We have to get the courage up. We have to find the courage and the bravery to run to the next house. And you don't have to run, okay? When it comes to journeys, it can take as long as you need it to. But from my own perspective and my own journey, don't let it take longer than it has to. I tend to become so afraid of the big bad wolf that I just kind of stay stuck for a long time. And I've been stuck for a long time. I went to therapy because I couldn't figure out why I was stuck, and she helped me get unstuck. And then right after therapy ended, I still got stuck. And but I know what it is now. It's just fear. A lot of times we're so afraid to move forward. I started reading a book this morning, and this quote, I'm only in the introduction. Okay, I'm only in the introduction, but this woman was having, some crazy stuff happening to her during yoga class. She couldn't understand why she was feeling the way she was feeling. And then, she said that she kind of, she started meditating, and she went deep. And as she was meditating, and started journaling all this stuff out. She said, these words fell onto the page. This is your resistance to love and freedom. The lingering darkness within you is resisting happiness. The lingering darkness within you is resisting happiness. Now, when it says lingering, to me, I'm interpreting that as your subconscious. And sometimes if it's really deep, your unconscious thinking, where it's like, no, I feel great, but there's something, right, that anchor that just kind of holds you back just enough so that, you can almost reach that goal, but you don't, because you're like, well, because it's the big bad wolf. It's the big bad wolf holding you back. It's that big bad wolf thought anchoring you to this spot out of fear, out of, comfort. Sometimes even though our comfort zones may not be comfortable, they're comfortable enough that we're afraid to move out of them to discover what more could be out there for us. How much are we missing because, we can't move off the couch, because we can't move out of the chair, because we can't move out of our house to go explore the world? How much, is it possible that perhaps we manifest some of these things? I mean, I'm not saying that you purposely manifest physical ailments. I know for me, when I get scared of something or I don't want to do something, I either magically, and I mean legit, literal, come up with a headache or some kind of physical ailment, because my anxiety is peaking so much that, it's like, and now I've kind of gotten rid of that. If I have a headache, I mean, I'm not lying about the headache if I have to cancel on something. I mean, they happen, but it's like, am I physically manifesting that? Or am I, is it something that's actually, part of my body just doing whatever it does? So that's something that we have to think about. However, the quote I wanted to read was from Simone Biles. I love her. She's amazing. I love how she's just breaking glass ceilings everywhere when it comes to, the age of competition and everything. She's phenomenal in her own way. Not just because, she's this fabulous Olympic gymnast, but because she also works with the girls who work in her gym on their mental health. She makes them work on that first, because she knows that a strong mind leads to a strong body. And that's what they need. And, even though she wasn't able to finish competing in the last, not this little Olympics, but the one back in Japan, where was it? Well, it was supposed to be 2020, but it was held in 2021. I'm proud of her for not pushing herself, because you know what? That's when you get hurt. And sometimes that damage that you do to yourself if you get hurt can be irreparable. So, take care of your brain. But this is what she said. It's important because you have to teach them to use their voices. And if not, you're a voice for the voiceless, which is okay. So again, it's important because you have to teach them to use their voices. And if not, you're a voice for the voiceless, which is okay. I like to consider myself a voice for the voiceless. And by that, I mean, I think what she's saying here, and this is just my interpretation, this is just my perspective. I saw the quote and I thought it was absolutely wonderful. But in my perspective, I think what she's saying is that, you have to teach them to use their voices. But if they don't want to speak out, it's okay to be a voice for them. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. The greatest blessing you can give to humanity is owning your purpose and inspiring others to courageously own theirs. Your purpose in this life could just be to heal. It could just be to get yourself to a place where you're not triggered every other second, where you're not hurting, or hurting yourself every other second, where you live in a place of peace and freedom. And that's why this other quote where it says, this is your resistance to love and freedom. The lingering darkness within you is resisting happiness. The last part is what really hit me. The lingering darkness within you is resisting happiness. And I realized that's where I'm stuck. That's where I'm stuck. And so now I have to figure out how I'm going to move past that. How do I move past this place where, my resistance to happiness is holding me back? Because I didn't even realize it was. You know, I feel like a lot of times we come this close to true happiness and then something happens and it falls apart and we just want to either face palm ourselves or we just sink and we shrink back in. And I understand that and it's scary, but you know what? I don't want to live the rest of my life being afraid of being happy. I don't want to live the rest of my life watching people be afraid of being happy. You don't have to share your story out loud if you don't want to. That's okay. I will be a voice for you. Thousands of other people who do the same thing I do will be a voice for you. We will be a voice for you. But you have to be honest with yourself. You have to find a way to reach in and dig deep enough that you are absolutely certain that you have gotten everything up and out. Up and out is so, so important, because I think what we miss there is that when we push things down, they will find a way back up, or they're just going to grow like a bunch of negative weeds inside this beautiful garden of your, that is your soul. Not just your body, but your soul. And it can manifest physically. When I started gaining weight, I realized, my biggest excuse for not putting myself out there was no one would want someone my size. Nobody would want me. Then my therapist said, look around you, Shelly Marie, at some of the couples that are out there. And she's, you're going to see the sizes vary. And it's like, yeah, she kind of shot that thought down. It's like she took a pin to my balloon and but that's what I loved about her. She wasn't afraid to take a pin to the balloon, the thought balloon I was having. And that's what I needed. But right now, for me, it's just, we have to figure out a way to stop resisting our happiness. Everybody deserves to be happy. Everybody. If you feel like you've done bad things in your life, make amends for them. Make amends for them. And just know that if you're making amends for something, be sincere about it. Don't just say, well, I'm sorry, to get yourself off the hook. And no, you know what? I just want to point this out right now. I know that's going to sound like that's, aiming something at somebody. Older sibling and I, we do the sorry thing all day long. That is not aimed at you. Okay, that is older sibling. That is not aimed at you at all. What I'm saying is, and I know she knows this because, she is a child of an alcoholic. And there were, I'm sure, amends. I knew her mom when she was already in recovery. But I am sure that there are amends she had to make, especially with Laura, her daughter. And so, and they had a wonderful relationship for the last 20 something years of Mom Barbara's life. And that was wonderful. But what I'm saying when I say sorry, when I say be sincere, if you hurt someone so deeply, don't just go up there and say, well, I'm sorry, to make yourself feel better. Mean it 100%. Say, look, you know what? I'm not making excuses for my behavior, because I probably could have handled it better, but I was in a bad place. And if they accept it, great. If they don't, at least you tried. Do not get hung up on whether or not they're going to accept it. As long as you mean it sincerely, forgive yourself and move forward. Because there's a lot of things that we all do to people. Maybe you bullied someone, or maybe you did this. And if there's not a way to make amends to them, try to forgive yourself. What would you do differently so that you don't see that? If you see someone, if you were a bully as a kid and you see someone getting bullied now, are you going to do something? You don't have to confront the bully. But what you can do is you can move in very gently and just start a conversation with the person being bullied and then gently guide them away. That could be your penance, okay? And I mean, I'm not a priest, so obviously. But, do what you can to find forgiveness in yourself and the situation. And whatever you do, if you want to be a voice for the voiceless, be a voice for the voiceless. One of the reasons I never wanted to start this show was because I figured, well, there's already a billion people out there doing this. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because I know, from my own feedback, that I have helped people along my way. I have given people ideas. I have helped people, find their healing. And really, not all of it was about what I was trying to teach. It was about my own journey. Being honest and open about my own journey helped other people find the courage to be, to be a part of their own story and not just someone looking, from the outside looking in, because, it's hard to deal with, because sometimes it is. Healing is messy. Healing is super messy. You know, it's like throwing syrup on the floor, like a whole bottle of syrup on the floor, right? And then just jumping right in the middle of it and then trying to get out, and then you track it all over the place, and, you know, on the carpets and on, you know, the sidewalks and wherever you're walking around the house. And even if you think that you've gotten it all out, it's like it's still there. So you have to keep cleaning it, right? And cleaning it is working on it. It's doing what you can. It's finding the tools to kind of, you know, Stanley Steamer your your whole life. You know, I don't know if a lot of people know what Stanley Steamer is, but here it's a carpet cleaning place, you know, carpet cleaning, air ducts, all that stuff. But anyways, and no, that's not that's not a plug. I'm just saying, you know, it just, for me, that's kind of what it seems like. It's, you know, again, I have to tell you, not this therapist, but the last therapist, I'm just going to side squirrel here, used to love when I would come in, because she would tell me, she's all, the one thing I'm going to miss about you the most is how you always came in with a metaphor every week. And she's always never the same one. Never the same one. And as you can see, my brain just kind of, it sees things, because this is what it looks like in my mind. That syrup on the floor, the stickiness, that's how messy it can be. You know, and other people might be like, hey, syrup all over my house, great, it smells like maple in here. But I have a lot of weird quirks, okay? And one of the things I don't like is sticky fingers. And I can't imagine having sticky feet too. So it's just kind of like, but I know we all have our things. I'm not ashamed. I mean, come on, I have quirks, so it makes me me. But yeah, we know. However, circling back, unsquirreling, let's bring the squirrel back to the center of the tree. The thing is that it can all be cleaned up. We know it. And I guess the reason I mentioned a steaming company that helped come in is those could be your friends. Those could be the people you turn to. It could be a therapist. You could have a whole group of people. You could have a best friend. Maybe you do have a therapist already. You could have a parent, you know, somebody that you trust to help see you through this ordeal you're going through. You know, you don't have to have big traumas. And I'm only saying big traumas because a lot of people I would hear, including myself, the very first time I ever went to therapy, I thought, well, geez, mine wasn't as bad as that. And little did I know, it actually was. I just, you know, my therapist told me, she's all, sometimes we block things until we're ready to heal them, because, you know, we can't, you know, it could be our brain, it's our brain's way of helping us survive. And when we get to a certain point, we might remember certain things. And, but at first I couldn't remember a lot. You know, I was very, very young when it happened, but I thought, oh, well, mine's not as bad as that. And my therapist said, they're all bad. They're all bad. He's all, it doesn't matter to the extent of how it happened. He's all, your trauma is no less or no more than anybody else's. Boy, I get a lot of that in my life. I got that from Mom Barbara too. You are no better and no worse than anybody. You are you. And, but that was the therapist was saying that too. And it was so accurate, because I think a lot of times we dismiss our own trauma and our own pain because, you know, we don't want to feel like we're, you know, walking all over somebody else's story. You can be relatable, and that's okay. I know, but you can also be the person that sits there with somebody that you know has had trauma. You know, maybe even if you haven't healed your own trauma, it could start helping you heal because you see somebody else. I'll be honest with you. I was not very vocal about my own trauma, but I thought, God, I've really got to heal this. And I wanted to blog about it. And that's when I initially talked to my dad. Is like, Dad, I got to blog about this, blah, blah, blah. Is that going to bother you? No, I just don't want people to look at me bad. And it wasn't my dad. Okay. I'm going to tell you that right now. It was not my family, but parents will feel that way because they'll be like, oh, why didn't you stop it? People who understand trauma know. I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there who could have or should have. I know there are because I've seen other people's stories. But in my story, my parents are what kept me alive. My parents are what kept me from being a statistic. My family is what kept me from being a statistic. So I told my dad, I said, I'll be very clear on that, you know, because I don't want anyone. I mean, it's my last parent. And, you know, I don't want him mad at me, but I was writing it under I didn't sign my name to it. And actually, I'm not even sure I actually wrote the blog. But eventually I started talking about it because around that same time is when I set up my second Twitter account for mental health. And I started meeting a lot of people. I learned about the term CSA survivor. I learned about a lot of different things. And I saw people sharing their stories. And one of the first things I thought is, oh my gosh, this person, it was their parent. You know, and somebody else would come in. And I was just kind of a observer, you know, just for a while on these chats and everything. Because there would be a weekly chat. And someone said, it doesn't matter who the perpetrator is, because it doesn't lessen your trauma. And I thought that was really brave coming from a person who it was one of their parents. And it's like, that's somebody who has done a lot of healing and who sees the trauma in somebody else. And I thought, wow. And I found my courage in these people's stories, you know, and it's like, I mean, it does matter, you know, but after the trauma, we're all still in the same pool of people trying to heal, regardless of what the trauma is. Whether it's some version of CPTSD or some version of PTSD, healing is just as messy for everyone. Even if you feel like, you know, oh, well, I was in a car accident and it's just, you know, it made me depressed for a while, or, you know, and you may feel like, well, I don't want to compare myself to other people. You don't have to compare yourself to other people. Your healing and your trauma is your story. And no matter where you feel like you fall in that story, don't worry about other people's stories. If you want to be there for someone and just sit there and hold their hand or give them a hug and just let them talk, that's great. You don't have to share your story. But you have to be honest with yourself about your story. And that is always going to be the most important thing. You have to be honest with yourself when it comes to your story, because that is how you heal it. And that's how I learned how to heal mine. I finally did shadow work, and I had to come to terms with a lot of things that I didn't want to face. You know, and I'll be honest with you, I was able to do it without therapy, but I'd had therapy before several times. And this is before my last therapist. And I got to that place. And like I said, I went back to therapy because I was just stuck. And, you know, my therapist helped unstick me. We both know it's fear that's been holding me back, but I still couldn't understand where that fear was coming from. And when I read that, I'm pointing to my computer, where it says, the lingering darkness within you is resisting happiness, I realized that's why I can't feel my vibes. You know, I know people are like, feel your vibes. Yeah, you know, like when you have that good feeling, whether it's a butterfly feeling or like that excitement, I don't feel that. But I know I felt it before. But it's because I've shut myself down. I have come so far in my healing. And that's not a brag. Well, maybe it's a humble brag, but it's not a brag. I've worked hard to get where I'm at, you know, and people have seen how far, like people that I don't even know that are watching are saying, you know what, they're sending me these wonderful memes saying, you know what, I see how far you've come and I'm so proud of you. And it's like, wow, I didn't realize how far I had come. I didn't realize I had come, you know, this distance. And it's a phenomenal feeling when somebody else notices, but I'm not doing it for them to notice. What I'm taking away from that is thank goodness that somebody sees it so I can see it. So again, the lingering darkness within you is resisting happiness. If that is you, if that resonates with you, it's okay. It's okay. Figure out what you need to do to move forward, because that's where the healing comes from. If you feel like you need to do shadow work, then please, 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 if you're worried about it, get professional help. Find professional help, or at least have somebody you trust nearby to help you. If you know, I know that in certain places, you know, professional help can be pricey, and even online sometimes it can be pricey. Get a self-care app. You know, get a journal. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a fancy journal. I'm currently writing in a regular, you know, grade school kid's notebook. And you've seen the journals I have. I mean, I have a lot of fancy journals sitting around here. You know, I mean, some of them were, I mean, some of them I could have probably bought 10 of these notebooks for, you know, how much you pay for those. But I mean, even this one's fancy. Oh, but I have to tell you, this one I love. This just goes to show, I'm going to sidetrack now because I think I've said enough about this particular subject, but this, I have to tell you, is I found, so my cousin loves to go to secondhand stores, and I love it. I love it. I never knew how much fun it could be. You know, one man's trash is another man's treasure, right? Or one person's trash is another person's treasure. But this just goes the length to show the length of my journal addiction. This journal was just sitting out there. I didn't even care how much it was. I'm like, I gotta have this. I have absolutely got to have this because it's a journal. It's paper in a book with binding. I must have it. It was $1. Not too bad, right? Not too shabby. And it says loved. It says loved on it. And now I'm using it for the Aloha Perspective book. But the whole point I'm making is that it doesn't matter. You know, you don't have to go out there and get some fancy journal because, you know, you think your emotions need a fancy. You make the journal fancy. You know, I decorate the front of mine. I mean, I got stickers all over the front. I draw all over it. You know, I know it can be a little bit harder if you get one of those colored notebooks. So, you know, like these. The one I'm using right now is green. I don't know how it ended. What am I trying to say? I don't know how it happened, but I ended up picking Christmas colors. But I just put stickers. I just put stickers all over the front, and I have markers that are more metallic so that you can see them on the front. But, or even black Sharpies. You know, just make it your own. Make it your own. That is one of the fun things about notebooks, is that you can do that. A lot of journals you can't really do that, and then you also don't want to because you're spending a lot of money on them, right? You don't want to mess up the front. But this is what we can do to help ourselves. Okay, so you know, the greatest blessing you can give to humanity is owning your purpose and inspiring others to courageously own theirs. So there you go. You don't have to be, you could be one of the voiceless. All right. And I don't mean that your voice doesn't count. What I mean is that there are those of us who will be a voice for the voiceless. We will sit here and we will do what we can to spread that positivity, to try to spread that notion of healing and shadow work and all these things to help people get where they need to be. What your job is to figure out what it is that is keeping you from your happiness, or what is keeping you from, you know, what is keeping you resisting your happiness, and find a way to heal it. That's your job. Your only job is to heal yourself. And if you feel like sharing your journey out loud, then welcome to the group. And if you're not, welcome anyway. Because really, we're a voice for the voiceless in a pool of people trying to heal. You know, and think of it as like a children's pool, right? You have the wading pool. You're figuring it out. You're trying to learn how to swim through all of these different things. And then eventually you're going to graduate to the big pool, right? Where it's deeper, where your feet aren't going to touch the ground. And that's going with the flow. And that's okay. That's great. I mean, come on. I still can't dive off of a 6-foot high diving board. I can't even jump. Well, I don't dive off of them. I can't even jump off them. All right. I freeze. I know. Shelly's got problems. It's part of my charm. It's part of my charm. I don't like falling. I don't mind heights, but I don't like falling. So anyways, all right, let's read our affirmators deck. I am so sorry that I kind of squirreled at the end. There was a lot of stuff happening downstairs and outside, and it's just kind of like, oh my God, my brain is going, and it was focusing in on too many things. So I do apologize for that. But anyways, oh my God, this is so great. We've had this card before, but this is so perfect for what we were talking about. And you saw it. If you were here at the beginning, you saw how I just opened that deck, pulled out, you know, like the middle card, right? This is perfect. I'm braver than I think. I don't have to suddenly slay every dragon in town, but I can definitely start the day off by looking one in the eye and giving it a slow motion nod. Right? But I'm braver than I think. So again, courageously own your story. Take your power back. One of the very first things older sibling ever taught me was to take your power back. And, she would make me say it. I take my power back. Take your power back. You are braver than you think. Even if it doesn't feel like it, you are braver than you think. Own your story. Because when you own your story, you become the hero of your story. You become the person that slays the dragon. Even if you don't feel like slaying that dragon that day. Even if you don't have the energy, just give it a slow nod, right? Sup, dragon. I like dragons, but, clearly they're always the villain. Except Pete's dragon. Okay, I had to throw a good dragon in there, right? Pete's dragon. Pete's dragon or Puff. Puff the magic dragon. I know, I'm done. I'm squirreling. So, on a side note, just because of what you can see is happening right now with all the squirreling, I am going to take, I'm potentially going to take tomorrow off, all right? If I get through the journaling I need to get through today to figure out all my crap, I have a whole list of stuff to journal through today and a lot of shadow work that I need to finish up because I have been trying to figure out for days, or actually not even days, I've been trying to figure out for over a month now, what is it? I kept telling older sibling, there is something still left in me that needs to be healed and I don't know what it is. And that's why I said when I read that line today, this is your resistance to love and freedom. The lingering darkness within you is resisting happiness. Even though I'm in this really wonderful place of healing, there is still a dark part of me that is so afraid of love and freedom. And that's exactly what it is. Self-love can give you freedom. It's not necessarily love from somebody else. I mean, that's always great, right? Whether it's your family, your friends, or a significant other. But self-love is the greatest love we can give ourselves. And I think because of that, we really need to embrace that. We need to say, hey, you know what? While all these wonderful things would be great to have, I have to be happy and just content or ecstatic or whatever at where I'm at right now. And I think that's why I'm always living like about 6 months ahead of myself because I am resisting that love and that freedom because I know that the healing will provide that love and that freedom, that self-love and that freedom. And it will help me get rid of the darkness that is lingering, making me resist that happiness. I'm happy. I am. But I feel like there's more that could be done with my happiness. Because my happiness is just like a level 2 happiness instead of a level 5. Right? It's kind of like, I'm good. I want to be more than just content. I want to be happy. I want to wake up every morning, no matter what is going on in my life, and say, you know what? I got this. I can do this. Not wake up every morning and go, oh, God, it's another day. Crawling out of bed, fine. Which literally I'm doing because I've been sleeping weird. I've been falling asleep weird on my bed, so I literally have to crawl off my bed. But instead of, figuratively crawling off my bed, I think we owe ourselves to, I know not every day is going to be a great day. I'm human. We're all human. But if I can make my good days and my happy days and those days I want to get out of bed outnumber the days I don't want to, then that's a victory for me. And hopefully we're all able to do that. So it's a victory for each one of us. So remember, you are braver than you think. You were that teeny little kitty cat. Well, you know what though? All cats think they can take on a dragon. All right. I don't know any cat that I've ever been privileged to be a mom of. My cat Pixel would probably take on. So if she could talk, she'd say, bring on 3 of them and bring me the biggest ones. Because that's how she is. I'm surprised you couldn't hear her meowing, scratching at my door. Let me in. I'm surprised she didn't break down the door. But anyways, I digress. So again, tomorrow I will be taking tomorrow off. I keep saying maybe, but I think it's best right now that I do, because whatever I'm going to be doing today, I can feel it already. It's going to be some heavy lifting, and I'm probably going to need a bit of a mental break tomorrow, but I will be back on Wednesday. So, this is not something that I just thought of in this, the snap of the finger. I was thinking about it this morning, and I was thinking about it last night, and I thought, well, you know what? I don't want to skip Monday because it's Monday, right? We all need that little push for the beginning of the week. So have a great day tomorrow. Have a wonderful day today. And I will see you back here for Self-Care Wednesday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Time, Facebook Live. All lives are public. Anybody, whatever, you know what I mean, can watch live under Shelly Marie Lucas. And then, as you know from all my other videos, I post them all over social media as well. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. And again, I will see you on Wednesday.